My name is Dr. Libby Adams, and I would like to tell you why I'm doing this challenge. It all goes back to 1989 when I was 37 years old and Tony Robbins was only 29 years old. I had just taken a job as a professional fundraiser, but there was a big problem with that. I had a fear of asking people for money, which is not good in a fundraiser. I was raising funds for a school for hearing impaired kids, and their tuition was $40,000 a year. So I felt a lot of pressure and really wanted to help bring in the money so they could bring down their tuition. So, as synchronicity would have it, I was rummaging around in my mother's closet and I looked up to the top shelf where I could hardly reach, and there was this cellophane cardboard box with big black letters that said personal power on them. So I pulled them down and I said to my mom, "What's this?" And she said, "Oh, I got that off an infomercial, but I haven't listened to it yet." So I said, "Can I listen to it?" And she said, "Sure." So I listened to it. I did the 30 days. I did, everything that Tony said to do. And through that, I actually manifested the money to be able to go to Date with Destiny, which was the first live event, maybe a couple months later. So then I went to Date with Destiny. It was really powerful. And then I went to the Firewalk after that. And at that Firewalk weekend, there was a certain segment where Tony said, "I'm looking for a volunteer, and it's somebody who normally is very motivated about things, but there's this one thing that they're just not motivated about." And I'm like, "That's me." And then I noticed, hands are going up, but then in my peripheral, I see people are walking down toward the stage. And I was kind of up in front, so I jump up and I run down to the stage and I slide onto the stage like wrestlers when they're going underneath the ropes. Like, here I am, the volunteer. And Tony worked his Tony magic and did some NAC process for about maybe 5 minutes. Fear was gone. I jumped off the stage, and this lady runs up to me with a $20 bill. She said, "This is for the kids." And then we went to the dinner break, and at dinner, people were, writing checks and giving me cash for the kids. And when we came back, I shared with the group that people had donated about $600 during dinner. And then Tony said, "And I will match everything that anything that people donate." And in that moment, pandemonium broke out. Money's coming down the aisles, and the staff got me a cardboard box. I have this big cardboard box of cash. And then Tony wrote a check for $3,500. So I took $7,000 back to the school on Tuesday when I got back. Now, what happened at that event is I realized that instant transformation was possible because I'd experienced it. Now, when I'd been in college, I was interested in psychology, and I majored in psychology for a minute until I found out I was going to do therapy with people for like 10 years. I am not interested in that. So I went into education and I taught school for a bunch of years. But when I found that out, I'm like, I'm in, I'm back. So I took all of Tony's things. I did the certification program. I staffed Date with Destiny 6 times. I staffed the Firewalk. And then I said, I think I'd like to be a master practitioner in NLP. So I went and studied that, and I got my master practitioner. I staffed in that organization for a year. And then the third year, I was in Deepak Chopra's organization, learned a bunch of stuff from Deepak and all that. But then at that point, after 3 years, I realized, as Russell was talking in our pre-funk, in our pre-funk videos, he said, you got to go from growth to contribution. So I realized it was time for me now to make a contribution. So I started the International Academy of Self-Knowledge. This was 1994, 26 years ago. And then when I started doing the work, I had a second epiphany. And that was, I'm doing this NLP stuff with my, with my students, but there's no spiritual component in it. And I'm a spiritual person, so that doesn't really work for me. But then kind of this idea came that I could, instead of just doing a regular NLP exercise, I could bring a higher power out, and then bring the part out that was having the issues and negotiate, and then let them come into a spiritual union. And it was really powerful. I call that transformational meditation. So I work with people that are spiritual, and they've been on the path for a little while, but they find that their spirituality is not translating into practical results. Saying, well, I'm a spiritual person. Why am I afraid? Right? And so they're still struggling with fear in order to create joy and to create financial success and peace of mind and harmonious relationships and all that. So over the past 26 years, I have logged in 50,000 hours of one-on-one coaching, success tax, Dean. And I've worked, with people on every continent, and I took my contribution to a certain level, but now it's time to take my contribution to a higher level. And so then I bumped into, in that desire, I bumped into Russell Brunson, of course, in ClickFunnels at the beginning of the year. It's like when I saw Russell, I'm like, this is the guy. This is the guy that's going to help me do this, right? So I created my funnel. I created an online course that is currently on the ClickFunnels platform. And then I've been working on, like, how am I going to drive traffic to that funnel, right? So I'm sort of in that place. So 31 years later, I need Tony's help again, but this time not just Tony, but also Russell and Dean, because I want to be able to build this brand without me. I'm 68 years old now, and I want to leave a legacy in a form of the contribution of the work that I do. I've got trained coaches, we just need to put them to work. And so that's why I am in this challenge. So thank you for listening, and I will see you soon.